Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is the outlet with our Dead by Daylight review. Let's get all the blood, the guts, and the madness. This is Hunter,
Hey guys.
and I'm Cameron. So let's just run through it.
Alright guys, so what we're doing today is we're actually reviewing the gameplay section of Dead by Daylight. What Dead by Daylight is a game on PS4 and PC. Basically, the objective of the game is it's a 1v4 situation, the one person being the killer who's hunting all the survivors, which is the 4 people. There are certain instances where you will have less than 4 survivors on your team, but that's normally just people quitting through a match and stuff like that. So basically what the objective of the game is the survivors must repair 5 generators on the map to open these 2 gates, to power these 2 gates, to be able to leave the map before the killer kills them. The survivors have a third-person view mode, which if you've ever played, like, I guess God of War is the easiest thing to say now, or Army of Two or something like that, where it's over-the-shoulder type-esque, and you can look around corners and everything like that.
The killer has a first-person point of view, so you definitely have the feeling of you're actually hunting the survivors down when you're playing as killer. The killer's objective and sole objective is to kill all 4 survivors, any means necessary. Basically, the way this could happen is you can get hooked. There's different perks that each killer can have that will basically kill them once you down them. Survivors normally take 2 hits to be downed, and then they could be picked up by the killer and placed up on the hook. If you're a survivor, you can wiggle out of these if you're fast enough. Or sometimes you get lucky and you can pull yourself off the hook. But the best solution is if you're in a lobby with a bunch of your friends, is just wait for one of your friends to come get you.
And I will say this game is very based on multiplayer. There is no single player campaign or anything like that. It is a strict, multiplayer game mode. There is technically only one game mode, which is the hunt and be hunted game mode, which is surviving or killing the survivors. Currently, there are technically other game modes like Kill Your Friends, where you can have basically 5 friends join a lobby. It is not actually a ranked situation, which is all the other game modes, where one of your friends can be the killer, and everyone will have free reign of every single perk or add-on in the game, which can heighten the killers and the survivors all together. And it basically will show you. It's a good tutorial stage if you have friends who can actually help you play it.
There is there's different items you can bring into each match. You can customize these before in the pre-game lobby or before you even start up looking for a lobby. These items range from med kits that will heal you to toolboxes that will allow you to repair generators faster or sabotage hooks, to a flashlight that will blind the killer if they're close enough to it. And if you are just starting out or you don't feel like bringing one with you in case you lose it, there are chests all across every map that have randomly spawned items in there. So these can be very crucial if you absolutely need them, or they can be the biggest screw up of your day, depending on what item you get out of it.
So the game itself may sound very repetitive because, like I said, there's only one true game mode that you can play ranked, and that may be a turnoff to some people. But the way that the game is set up is all the maps are randomly RNG based, which is randomly generated, basically, where hooks will be in different locations, generators will be in totally different locations. There's what's known as pallets, which the survivors can use to loop or stun the killer so you can get away from him easier, or basically give yourself a plan to distract the killer. Every map, there's about 24 different maps right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them look the same, but they all have different layouts or different formations on the map, sort of like any Call of Duty game you would see.
With these maps, which, like Hunter, you just said, they're a wide variety of these. There's different obstacles for you to get stuck on, or to kind of get the killer to be run into a wall or over a, like you said before, a pallet. There's also little windows and obstacles you can vault over, which will give you a little bit more distance time between the killer and you if he's really chasing you and you just need a way to give yourself like a couple seconds of just breathing and room to think. These can be very crucial at times, so definitely plan kind of an escape route in the back of your head whichever way you go and kind of scope it out. Definitely use the crouching ability and hide as much as you can in the tall grass and behind corners, and use every advantage that you possibly can to outweigh your killer.
So as we said earlier, that the killer has a first-person field of view, basically. That field of view is different than like any normal shooter you would see or something. It's very easy to overlook things or miss things just because of how much there is to take in on the map. So a survivor could easily just sneak right past you, even if you're looking at them, which is where you need to, actually be able to be focusing as much as possible on things that shouldn't be there, or hearing things that you can hear, like survivors running or panting or anything like that. Whenever a killer hits a survivor, they will start to bleed on the floor while they run. Like, while they run away, they will start to bleed, and it will sort of leave a trail. Also, whenever survivors run, the killer can track basically scratch marks on the ground that will give away the area of direction that the survivor ran in.
Basically, part of the kind of leveling up system for those who want to kind of get into this game a little bit more, just for the progression of it, and saying if you can work your way up the ladder to the number 1 spot, it works from going from the 20th spot, which is basically the lowest you can go, to number 1, which is basically the highest. And of course, there's you can prestige 3 times depending on your character, or which character is the highest level at that point. You basically get these things called blood points, and what blood points do is they allow you to buy new items and new add-ons to your items or perks within the blood web, which is in the pre-game lobby and also the menu before you even start looking for a lobby, which can be very useful if you have a last-minute decision. You're like, okay, instead of bringing this item, I need to bring this, or I should switch up my perks just to test out my playstyle and see if I can get a more of a distraction kind of playstyle instead of the sneaking around and doing my own thing.
That's another thing about the gameplay, is you don't always have to be, the boring playstyle where you just hide from the killer if you're the survivor, and then you don't also always have to camp a survivor if you end up killing them on a hook as a killer. You can choose to be a very patient killer, and you can basically try to lead them all into one corner and just try to all kill them or down them right there. Or a survivor can even basically take on the killer. He won't be able to damage the killer per se, but he will be able to slow the killer down, or what we like to say, run the killer around to let his allies basically do the objectives. That's one of our play styles, and doesn't always end well as a survivor.
No, not always.
But there's a lot of RNG in the game, whether you're playing against a very experienced killer who knows, lag delay or stuff like that, or, actual movement speed buffs and everything like that can happen, or where every pallet is on the map so they know whether a survivor is running to a certain pallet or not. But then there's a ton of stuff survivor-wise that you have to learn. Like we said earlier, there's a blood point tree that gives you different perks, add-ons, and everything for every single character. You could have every perk in the game, and you wouldn't really know what the killer has until it could be too late. Certain perks can actually auto-kill you or auto-down you depending on the urgency of the match, which is always very crazy to have to deal with. There are certain things that can make the match last 5 minutes or 3 hours in extreme cases, that is.
Speed is key in this game for most players, and preferably myself. There's a speed difference between the killer and survivors. The killer is about 15% almost faster than every survivor, so the killer will get to you even if you're ahead of them, they will catch up very quickly. At that point, do not try and stay in straight lines. Dodging, running around, juking backward is basically the best way to survive in these kinds of chase situations. Because the music will be loud, you'll be panicking, you'll be trying to figure out how the hell do I get out of this place. But you have to kind of find your own venue to run through. Because, like I said before, killers are very fast and they are very terrifying when they're on your ass. So always have an escape plan in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and as he was saying, you basically want to make your own escape plan. That way it's not too easy to telegraph for the killer, because the killer can very easily juke you out just as easily as you can juke them out. And if the killer catches up to you, that is more than likely either a game over or you are significantly put back and your team is on a delay basically for ending the match. There's so many different playstyles you can do, but I'd say the most risky one is trying to juke out the killer and try to basically stall the killer out and keep his attention on you, because there's something that every killer has, and it's called bloodlust. If they are consistently tracking you and like running after you, and you guys are in a chase for longer than, like, I believe it's 45 seconds is the max, the killer will actually increase his speed 15% for every tier, and there's 3 tiers. So very fast the killer could catch up to you and basically down you or win the trade, and you will, as I said earlier, put your team back, because they will have to choose the decision whether to save you or to let you die. And if they let you die, then that's one less survivor to complete the objective or to stall the killer.
I highly recommend being in a lobby of you and 3 of your other friends and having that team kind of feel to it, with you and your friends surviving against a random killer. Playing this game solo is not a good idea.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's not a good idea. Some people like solo experiences.
Right.
I will say you will encounter much more crazy stuff if you are solo, because one, it's a lot scarier because you don't have anyone there to help you.
You can't rely on
anybody. Or you don't have comms with the rest of your teammates, so you won't be able to communicate with them as easily, other than doing emotes that the game has and stuff like that to try to make them follow you or go away. If you're playing solo, I prefer to play killer rather than survivor, but some people hate playing killer just because it's very stressful, and currently where the game is at right now, survivors are a lot more powerful than killers, just based off of some things in the game. But that's pretty much later tier things, so like once you're like max rank and stuff like that. So you don't really have to worry about that starting out. But a key part of the game is just learning the environments, learning the abilities of the killer or the other survivors that you're going up against. And like Cam said, it is a game that if you were playing with friends, it is a lot better of an experience than playing solo survivor.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't always need friends, because if you get good enough at the game, then you can absolutely just run circles around the killer, and your team will hopefully be able to complete the objectives, or you might be really good at completing the objectives while your teammates can run circles.
And part of the leveling up category here is there's a second objective that is kind of important. It's called daily rituals. And these daily rituals basically just go through, and you can have up to, I believe, 3 or 4.
It's 3.
It's 3. All right. Well, it's 3. And what these do is these just give you extra blood points, or to add to your tree to get that perk you really need, or that skill or add-on, or item, I should say, that could be very well. You could very well need it in the next round or next matches. Matches are very kind of stressful, I want to say. Mainly because you're having to focus on so many different things going on. It's you and your teammate versus someone who's trying to kill all of you. So you want to escape with all your friends, so you don't want to leave anyone behind. So if a guy gets hooked, you're like, oh shit, we have to go get that guy who's hooked. So let's book it. You and you go do this, and I'll try to get the guy that's hooked, or something along those lines. There's always that plan that you always need to have with these types of games. And having items having items and what am I thinking of?
Add-ons, abilities.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And add-ons will definitely greatly change the pace of the game in either your favor or the killer's favor. Because, like I said before, I was trying to find random items on the map. Go in with your own item. If you're trying to find random ones, I would say 5 out of 5. Kind of hard to...
You mean 5 out of 10?
Yep, that one. My brain shut up halfway through this. Anyway, but basically, you can find something that you don't need and it will help you none. Like, you will have no help from that item. Definitely just bring one in with you.
Also, if you are the player who doesn't like to bring items in, it's not always a bad thing because there are certain perks that survivors can get that will actually increase the rarity of the item that you will get from the chests. And one of them is, I believe it's called, not important, honestly. It's a something plunderer's chest or something like that. It will show you outlines of the chests on the map as long as you are in a certain meter range of them. And will increase the, basically, the rarity of the items in it. I'm the type of player who doesn't really like to bring items in, and Cameron hates me most of the time for it, because I will find something 10 times better than what he's running that he brought in himself, just in a chest with that ability.
Yeah, it's not okay. I'm over here grinding, he just finds it on a whim.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's a whim. I mean,
yeah. I know it's part of the perk, but
yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say.
But there's so many different things of this game, and we haven't even touched on the killers yet, the survivors' abilities, really anything else. Like I said, this was just going to be a normal gameplay guide of basically
what you should expect from each match you play.
Yeah, what you should expect from the game itself. Like we said, this game is amazing. We both love it so much.
Oh,
yeah. We don't even play with a full team. We play with 3 people most of the time, or 2 people. Like I said, whenever I'm solo, I'm normally playing killer, just because that is what I enjoy doing, just because nothing feels better than killing the entire enemy team with no effort at all.
Just hunting them down across the map. And along with playing as the survivors, I find it beneficial to have every person running something different. As in, someone running what I like to call distraction. One person kind of runs kind of like a ghost and like will just go around and do generators, and the other 2 are basically there to kind of support and help and figure out okay, here's where the hatch is, or here's where the doors are. Call out, someone has eye on, someone's watching the hunter killer, someone's watching the killer, someone's saying, okay, the killer's over here, now the killer's over here, how are those generators working? Okay, they're working good. So basically you want to find that playstyle that really fits you and your team with the different perks that this game allows you to have. And this game allows you to just branch out in so many different directions that it's mind-blowing. I have so much fun just messing around with my perks, just trying to figure out what else could I do to just make my gameplay better and to make me better as a player with these different perks.
Alright guys, well I feel like in this short little podcast of ours we have wrapped up quite a lot of it. There will be future podcasts about the killers, the survivors themselves, the lore, all kinds of things. Stay tuned. I'm Hunter.
I'm Cameron.
And this was The Outlet.